Okay. Yeah, welcome to another session in project, program, and portfolio management. Today we have a special setting. I have to admit that I have cut 7 hours into kind of 3 hours, and yesterday we didn't actually make the final simulation. So again, this was maybe timing, so we had the session between 5 and 8 p.m., which meant that everybody got quite drained actually from the small exercises. So we just see how we make it through. Otherwise, you will see I make a simulation available where you can play around with different projects that are impacted by portfolio indicators, market indicators, and it's a simulation. So you can see how you're doing on that, and you can get a little bit familiar with the dynamics that portfolios actually have on the project level. Yeah, so we may not make that in the benefit for you making it out here before 5. Yeah, so this is a trade-off. We can as well just commit and go for it, but I ask you around probably, I hope around 4, then we are good in time, but we see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, project selection for portfolios is an interesting one. It's a new hot topic actually that has kind of emerged in the last 3 years. A lot of companies do that already by default. And it's a managerial tool that links your projects directly to the company level, yeah, corporate level, and from there directly to the investors level. Yeah, so if you're doing this well, you can have actually projects as an asset in your portfolio. It makes your company look very different in terms of performance. The problem with that is if your projects report as well to kind of indicators on the stock market, you will see that investors will remove as well their money assets, so you will have fluctuation respectively in the potential investment in your company due to your project performance. Yeah. So this is a word of warning, but we will come to that a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Suggested reading, I had to change it a little bit because I was a little bit frustrated with the Mailer version. He kind of so Harvey Meller has as well something on portfolios, but he talks about products, which is actually misleading. This is not what we are talking about. This is a wonderful output that companies use already, but there's a huge difference. So I either recommend you to read either of those, which is empirical papers. They kind of describe, first of all, what a project portfolio is, and it's IT. No, this is actually Agile. So this is IT and service industry. Then the project portfolio management one by Martinso is actually construction, and then this one is engineering, and they kind of discuss as well how it doesn't necessarily work yet. Yeah, so there are still a lot of trouble with it. So this is a case studies, and then amazing paper by my colleague and I, where we kind of show you how you can actually introduce sustainability as well into the capacity of your company, of your business, and run this through project, program, and portfolio management. Yeah, and Morris and Pinto have kind of written 2 chapters on this. So it's chapter 5 and 6. One is actually authored by somebody else, but they kind of try to give an overview. But I use a lot of their material. You will see it actually in the slides, yeah, so we cover that actually. So quite a thorough reading. If you have picked one of my assessments, yeah, then you will potentially write about project portfolio. So this is the underlining lecture, if you want, to kind of give you the starting point to it. Yeah. Okay. So what are we covering today? Project typologies. Well, I really look at selection mechanisms largely. Actually, I've swapped that. So I tell you first what a portfolio is, where it comes from, and then we have a look how it's actually applied in project management for project portfolios. Yeah? And here, project portfolio management, we look when to use portfolios. What is it with the examples? Yeah, I give you 2 examples to kind of get your head a little bit around it, how it influences projects as well, and then as well managing a project portfolio and considering different aspects in it. Yeah, so we have some former alumni, so students that studied here, that use, they are in the portfolio office now, right? So they do the project support from a portfolio management perspective. Yeah, so this is quite a hot topic. Yeah. Okay. So what is a portfolio? Creating value, platform for comparison and collaboration. And here a portfolio is often sitting within a company. This is important to recognize. So here is such a thing. The portfolio is maybe hosted within a company, and a portfolio is here, very simply, just to get a head around it, a grouping of projects and programs and other activities. So there's maybe a production line, manufacturing process, or you maybe have machine capacities, that an organization sponsors. So here's already a problem. So the projects and programs can actually sit, of course, outside of the organization too. So often that is actually the case, right? Then a program is a group of related projects that together achieve benefits of strategic nature. So programs are kind of the engines where you create benefits and as well kind of the impact on the business itself. And then last but not least, we have again a project. We had that already as a unique process. But note, actually I have a more refined definitions afterwards for my portfolio management. So for portfolio management, we structure slightly different. So portfolio management is kind of the decision-making level for the company. This is what the approach tries to achieve. So here we may have single projects that are managed by a single project manager. This could be one underlining factor to making those more significant, that have actually a strategic value to your organization. And then you have a management of a group of multiple projects. This is the shortening for it. Here you may have underlining, well, at that level it may be just similar resourcing, or again, if you want to look at you as an individual, as a project manager, you as a project manager may have a number of projects that are going on. So those are project 1, project 2, project 3. You're managing all, but at the same time you're juggling between them. And they may have similar goals, but this is not necessarily the case. Often this is more tailored towards you as a project manager. So have you got an experience in those type of projects? Have they played around with the typology? This is the idea behind it. And you may have an alternative grouping that is structured slightly different, that may rely on a department or technology that you're including. So there are different ways of looking at this. Now when we come to the program management, which would sit as well kind of in the decision frame of the portfolio manager, you would see that those are the kind of goals-oriented programs that are delivered maybe through projects, but they really try to manifest maybe strategic intent. So shall I give you examples? So for Tesla, this is, for example, at the moment building a factory somewhere in the desert, inventing new technologies to generate energy for the production plant. And then in the end, another implementation project is setting up the line for manufacturing the new Tesla car, right? So this would be, again, this is like probably a multiple project program, but this would be one program to actually set up the goal of producing a car, right? And then there's the design of the car itself, which is a parallel project again, or program probably even, Does that make sense? So there's a multitude of related, often goal-related resources. Some programs are programs because they use similar resourcing methods. But we come actually to program management in a lot more detail. I'll show you different examples, so don't worry about it too much at this point. Now, current use in practice, this is kind of it. This would be a strategic portfolio. This could be one company or two companies. And this is kind of tailored towards an engineering manufacturing company. You kind of see it by the programs that they're running. So here the idea is at the top level you have the strategy, and this is kind of what the organization tries to achieve. The vision, maybe mission. This depends a little bit of what type of company you have. There are many companies that kind of have a very flux vision. It changes kind of with the annual statement. There's maybe a hidden side to this. But the idea is here that the strategy kind of is the engine for actually setting the portfolio. So you're using the portfolio to kind of set up the right programs, and within the programs are the projects that you're actually delivering, basically your aims on, yeah, or your vision. Yeah? So it's an operational process. It's a strategic process that breaks it down to the operational level and kind of gives it coherence. That's the intent. Yeah. So just to talk you through, so the wonderful triangle would here be the visualization of the portfolio. Yeah? So this would be maybe within one company, 2 portfolios. They kind of try to achieve the same strategy, but maybe this is a more risky portfolio. Yeah? Here you have research and development, innovation projects, so you're happy to go in here with a little bit capital that you financially maybe burn. Yeah? So you may have here a higher risk, and that is maybe a larger portfolio. This is your bread and butter. Yeah? So you know you have really here the core competencies. You can deliver this portfolio with closed eyes to have a secure business life, yeah, and not run your company against the wall. But at the same time, it's not very innovative. Yeah, it's kind of if the market changes or something like this, then you're running out. Yeah. So to go with Elon Musk example, yeah, this would be PayPal. Yeah, so you may know of it. Yeah. So you invented kind of financial interface tools and worked with software designers and actually financial system providers. So with credit card, probably what you recognize as credit card companies. Yeah, and he kind of did a lot of technology development, product development, so it's kind of software oriented. Then delivery projects, yeah, where he tried out different interfaces depending on different political economies. And then business process development, so different business models to secure, to kind of create customer satisfaction. And again, you see here the individual projects that kind of run within this framework. And here we have this IT systems and development. Yeah, so this is the one portfolio. And he used this to build what? Does anybody know? What was this new kind of experimental portfolio? We hear it in the news like rocket landed and blew up. Yeah, SpaceX, exactly. Yeah. So his hobby was always like he took over his company. Well, he's a majority share owner really. So he belongs to the Tesla family indirectly. Yeah, and they basically had already rocket engines in the past, and he wanted to make the most of it. Yeah, so this may be the next portfolio, and it's directly financed. Yeah, so it's a lot more risky. But if he rips it off, he has already pre-contracts with NASA. This is like a guaranteed contract for 10 years. You're just a monopoly afterwards. You have a lot of cash then. Yeah, and initially you may have to invest this more in technology development, yeah, as a program. So those projects are prioritized, but then it's just a cash cow. Yeah? So you build rockets on a contract basis. This is wonderful. Yeah? If you look at the fees, there's nothing correlated to the pay. They pay you so much because they recognize that the development initially is so problematic. Yeah. So this is a big portfolio game, basically. Yeah. So what have I talked to you about? Does that make sense yet? Yeah? Okay, some people not already. This is good. Yeah? I'm talking here about the portfolio dimensions, and a portfolio is kind of the invention by. Oh, wait a minute! I've again forgotten the first name. This is just heartbreaking. Oh, it's not in there. This is very bad. I had notes somewhere. Ah, here. This is the wrong notes. Let's go one up. This is a classic. Okay, I think it's Marco. Marco. It will come back again in the most unnecessary time. Yeah, but okay. So Markowitz basically kind of came up with the idea of a portfolio. And the underlying mechanism of a portfolio is nothing else than the old notion that is around already for 300 years. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. Do you know what that stands for? What are the underlying factors here? This is quite funny, but this is very deep underlying thought. So what is the problem with putting all your eggs in a basket?
If you drop a basket, you break all the eggs.
Yeah. This is spot on. It's a recognition of the danger of putting all your eggs in one basket and then dropping them. Yeah, then all your eggs are gone. This is the old metaphor. Yeah. Now, okay, Markowitz hadn't invented this. Yeah, this is actually, you can read this already in kind of old novels 300 years ago. But he was the first that kind of put it into the mathematical formula. he recognized I'll show you the hypothesis. Oh no, there's this hypothesis already. The idea basically being that if you want to survive with your business, there is one notion of value. Yeah? So this is maybe your return on your investment versus the riskiness of that undertaking. Yeah? And quick question: did you have already risk as a definition with Michel, Claudio, and maybe Mohammed or Dave?
Yeah.
So you had risk management already?
Yeah.
Okay, so initial definition is clear, yeah? Okay, so as a quick summary, to not forget what Dave was saying, Dave was probably explaining in a wonderful thing that to understand risk, you have to first start a very old story of going, being a captain of a ship, yeah, and not just a ship captain, but you have to be as well the investor of the goods in the vessel, yeah. So if you have goods in a ship and you travel across stormy seas, then you recognize all the dangers, yeah, and they become so important to you. You don't want to sink and drown, right? So you become a little bit hysteric about it, yeah, and that is literally what we do with risk. Yeah, we recognize the dangers and look at the past, yeah, at our past projects, and look, when have we failed? When have we not achieved our budget? When have we gone over time? Yeah, when did we not meet our quality or our stakeholder satisfaction criteria? Yeah, this is what we are asking. And when we are looking back, we recognize all these dangers, yeah, in the kind of failure analysis. Yeah, we look back and we notice like, oh, bad communication, run our ship against the wall, yeah? Or the lighthouse, the battery was empty, yeah, and the light wasn't blinking and you went straight on the reef. Yeah, actually this is where it comes from Arabic, yeah? Risk is actually Arabic for reef. Does anybody know Arabic reef? I don't have it ready either. But so 500 years ago, they were kind of the people that came up with this idea. And then you have to count in how many times that happened. Yeah, so it's proportional. It's actually well, you can put it against what is the term that is missing? I think it escaped me. Proportionality, the term. So yeah, it's basically the evaluation of your danger in terms of likelihood, how often it can happen. Yeah. So that will come back in a second. Yeah. So basically, we are looking and how many times have those type of projects gone wrong, yeah, or how did we sink our ship with the vessels, and then you can evaluate that. Yeah, this is the idea. So the proportionality, so it's a deterministic view of the past, right? We look at our past projects. How many projects did we succeed? How many went wrong? How wrong did they go? Yeah, was it a complete failure? Okay, so if 1 in 10 goes wrong, right, then we have a risk of basically 1 in 10, yeah, 10%. Right? If we have a profit margin on those projects, normally estimated maybe, depending what business you do, there's some that run around with 3%. Yeah? Here we talk a very big project, but the majority in the UK sits somewhere between 7 to 15%. If you go into technology, innovation sector and design, you are aiming at 40 to 400%. Yeah, this is greedy, but okay, never mind. This is where risk that comes proportionally upwards is. Yeah. So basically, Markowitz recognized in a very simple algorithm, 8-pager. He won a Nobel Prize for this. All I'm saying, yeah. This is a paper, 1952, 8 pages written, and you have a Nobel Prize, yeah. No other diversification can lower the portfolio's risk for a given return on expectation. Yeah. So what does that mean? He basically looked at past analysis of performance, yeah, of projects, and had a look. Okay, which projects should we do? How can we optimize the ratio of our return on our investment, yeah, or if you want, the profit that we make from our project, versus the lowest risk? Yeah, then you can decide. Are you more risk friendly and you try to do more profitable projects, and then you take into account that maybe every second project will be a failure? Yeah. So, not to mention the Samsung phone, yeah, that you're not allowed to fly around with. This is a bad example, but yeah, just I'm saying it didn't happen with the past Samsung, as far as I know. Yeah. So maybe they were actually a risky game. Yeah. And so this is very important. And the second hypothesis was no additional expected return can be gained without increasing the risk of portfolio. So it's an optimization game, right? We analyze our past projects, depending on what our projects are. So you may, we can go for something else. So you may build a house, a family house, but you build as well a lot of garages. So kind of in your regional area, you build a lot of garages. There are many people have a need for garages. It's kind of in at the moment. But houses, not so many. Yeah, so a few, something like 20. And the houses are normally quite good. It's not so risky, it's very consistent. Garages are tricky. People occasionally put the wrong gear in, drive through it, and then there's a question, was this your fault? Should the car be broken or should the garage break? So all kinds of problems with this. But you as well into skyscrapers. But you don't have a lot of skyscrapers, but two from three you are building actually quite safely. So 2 you make an enormous profit, something of 40%, but every third to admit that the contractors play dodgy games. You have to kind of find a way of kind of even cutting even, so you're often in the minus on the third project, but it's worthwhile, it's prestigious, it's how your name is as well there. So the hard question in the past was, how do we optimize that? How do we actually set our resources to make the most, right? Return on our investment versus risk averseness, or setting consciously the risk. And once we understand the risk, we can even take insurance out and let somebody gamble on it. So this is as well an option. This is the other dimension that is in there. So this is quite fascinating. This was kind of the invention, by the way, of investment banking. 1952. So this is not sure that is good. So the stock market existed already in the Netherlands, kind of in 16th century. They had already stocks. They already recognized that they had sold stock that wasn't actually existing anymore. So this is a common problem. So our financial crisis should have really been on everybody's mind, but of course nobody reads old literature. This is the other problem. So managing a portfolio, we have 3 broad goals. One is a value maximization. One is the balancing, and actually here we can jump. So balance optimal investment is often the idea if companies approach portfolios. You don't have to use it for that, right? So if they use it for investment, then it often relates to risk versus return, maintenance versus growth, short-term versus long-term. And in general, you become a lot more resilient. This is a hot term at the moment. We are still not at the right terminology. If you read actually the old ideas of risk and risk management, where this came from, it was actually about the immunology. Many people associate that with biology, but this is wrong. This was actually recognizing the unhostile environment you're performing in, so really recognizing the risks. That is a real term. So your immune system is already prepared, of course, in biology terms, to kind of, if you have an insect biting you, you can scratch it off. Your body is prepared, it heals, we know. If you haven't experienced it, you can go as well to Scotland, to the north, to the north. You will experience this then. There's a little friend called Midgie. They will do that simulation for you for free. So this is very, very implicit. Okay, so the balancing is as well about this. This is why we are looking at risk. So you can think of it as a metaphor, making your project or your company immune against failure. This is a real intent, but of course we don't write too much about it yet. So the balancing is one. A lot of companies use it as well to diversify. So the Tesla example that I mentioned is exactly such a thing. Focus, of course, on products in the future. This is what's advertised to us. But in reality, it's a portfolio of many projects that they are running to just getting there. This is basically the hidden one. Now, as I already mentioned, I say here strategic direction, or actually kind of structurally enforcing the strategy in the project level as well. But it's as well used by companies like Tesla to actually use it as a strategic roadmap. So using it to going where you want to be. So you may start off as a project manager, largely project managing for friends, maybe the assembly of custom-made cars, something like this. It's a wonderful hobby, And you may want to arrive being the project manager for a new design project in automotive. Yeah, then you can use this as an active portfolio approach and build your portfolio. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So it's very, very powerful in this. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look what that actually means. Now at the top level, it's a dashboard for senior management, control over organizational activity. When I say this, it's an information tool where you are at the moment. So that it's always a little bit forward. Yeah? It kind of analyzes the past performance as an indicator for the future. Now this is informing you, but there's another level to it. With this information, you just see what happened in the past, right, as a determiner of the future. But the next step to really be immune is, of course, you have to understand as a manager, and this is you, the project manager, when you face the danger, not the risk. Yeah, you have actually the danger in front of you. Let's use another wonderful analogy. So when I lived in South Africa, we went to the Park Addo, which is a short drive from Cape Town. They have lions. And we went there with a guide, and they tell you, stay in the car, lions are dangerous. And they are. A hungry lion will consider eating you, or at least make you a little bit trouble. Yeah? They're generally not the most friendly then. But the guide was a good risk manager because he had understood this is a dangerous situation, but those are lazy lions. It's middle of the day, they have just eaten. Yeah, this was visible because there was stuff behind them. And they were just lying there in the sun and kind of after the shade of the tree. Yeah, so if you understand those criteria and you can assess the dangerous situation, this is when we are actively starting to understand how to manage risk. Yeah, actually you have basically overcome the initial risk assessment. Yeah. Okay, I hope these analogies stick because there's a lot in those. Yeah. Okay, so now to the practical way. So dashboard for senior management, control over organizational activity. That is what the portfolio level does. Yeah? So your project being assessed against performance, maximizing the portfolio's value. Now here I've written financial and scoring models. Be aware, like I'll show you a scoring model later. Some companies just use it for finance. A lot of them use it as well to embrace now things like sustainability or the urgency of your project. Therefore allocating right resources to not be delayed with your project. Yeah, so there's as well another playground behind there. And then achieving a balanced portfolio. So this is kind of bubble diagrams and other visual methods I've given you there. A few in the papers here. There's a list. This is quite extensive. And then as well need to understand the types and characteristics of your project. So this is a recognition that we have to update what we're actually filtering for in the portfolio. Otherwise it becomes very quickly outdated. Yeah. Okay, I have a few. Those are kind of the most famous ones. So this is the profitability of success versus net present value. And here the idea is the bubbles kind of show you how much they actually have invested in this. And this is actually a brand portfolio bubble chart, but this is how you could do it. Yeah, so this could be strategic significance of your project. Yeah, and then or alternatively, how much investment is in it. Yeah? So how impacting it is to your company. And then you could look at profitability, or you could have here as well kind of scoring elements. Yeah, so if you are trying to be a sustainable company, see how sustainable is it actually, and think about criteria how to evaluate that. Yeah. So this is one. Markowitz ones is the classic one. This one. So this is kind of his hypothesis. With a mathematical formula, if you analyze your past project, this is what you arrive at. So risk measured by past performance of your project. This is literally looking how profitable was your project in the past. What did we estimate up front? What was it? Right. This is the idea. So that doesn't make sense. Yeah. So you literally have a look at the history of your projects. Look what was initially budgeted or what the client paid versus your actual output. Yeah, what came out on the final costing sheet. Yeah, and were there claims made afterwards? Did something not work? Then you come at the ratio. Yeah, so then it's maybe you spend something like 90% of the fee that they paid. Yeah, this is amazing. And then you have 10%. This is not that profitable. Yeah, and then if you have one that run over, then and you have a look at how often they run over. This is how you arrive at your probability, right, of something going wrong. And then you can log that against your project selection criteria or types, the project that you're doing. You can look as well for staff fatigue. So sometimes there are staff that so this is a powerful tool. Yeah, you can analyze basically against all criteria that are easy to analyze. And then you may find something like that just doing your garages is quite profitable and kind of a little bit risky because occasionally the owner drives through the garage as pointed out, but it gives you kind of a profit of 9%, which means you're not going bust. But it turns out that your skyscraper, if you would do more of them, you are actually less risky and you have a higher profit, right? This is what this is. So you can actually figure out how risk willingness you are. Yeah, so at least what you should do is, so here we are looking actually at stock market data, but it's the same graph basically for projects. You can then look at your typologies, how you should optimize and try to position yourself to do more projects of one type that you are good at. Yeah? And you can then map that as well against organizational capacity. So that is a typical dashboard, and that is what the portfolio implicitly is about. Yeah? Okay, understood? So this is a theory of portfolio. Quite theoretical if you want. There are actually a lot more tools. We don't go too much into this. Okay, we do the product portfolio afterwards because that confused yesterday people. So on what basis can we actually select our projects? And I wanted here to go through some examples. So this is again, there are some single projects, and there are some projects that we may run in a group, and then some programs, right? So let's contextualize this. So, okay, I've written it down as well. Let's jump to this. So I have here two scenarios. Here, this is actually from last year's group. I had one group that did as a course project, a project in a province in India, where it was about empowering women from a few villages to be part of the local economy. Yeah, so there was a issue with having access to the right training and work environment to do so. And this particular non-governmental organization had this as a portfolio. So their mission was really to kind of create prosperity as well for excluded demographies. So it wasn't just women, to be fair. There were as well other factors coming in. In the slides, I have a little bit background if you want. Yeah, and this was literally their portfolio. So they had some kind of projects that were so important that they were kind of strategic relevance. Yeah, so this was one. Training courses for making embroidered dresses. What is embroidered dress?
It's like sewing and embroidery.
Yeah, so it's a type of sewing, yeah, how you make a dress. It's very good. Another strategic important one was knitting workshops. Yeah, now you look at me, Robert, why are those strategic relevant? Well, it was what they wanted to build on. So this was kind of the strategic relevant one that had to happen, or people had to have access to those skills to actually use kind of their main business. So their main charity business was subsidized credit schemes. So not of those women didn't have access, or they didn't have a credit rating actually. So they basically took that on them and went to investors, to people that had savings, and said like, hey, give us money, we can give you as well a guaranteed return on the investment because they could run it as a portfolio. Yeah? Then equipment leasing was another one. So a lot of the machines are a very high value up front. So they basically had like a renting model for this. And then locate sellers of cheap raw materials. So there were as well a database where materials came from for different dresses, right? And then they had as well a database of prospective buyers. And some of the buyers were even large company chains. Yeah. So and did you see this here? So this is a program. Why is this a program? I know we didn't have the definition yet of a program. Why is subsidized credit scheme, equipment leasing, and locate sellers of cheap raw materials? Why could that be a program? I mean, in that case, it just was that way. But why does it make sense to kind of structure it that way? Well, what do you think? What do you think about the timeline? Do you think they run the training courses for making embroidered dresses the same way that they would kind of do subsidized credit schemes? Well, let's ask the other way around. What do those share in common in comparison to the other ones? You did prefer the Tesla examples, yeah?
Are they all sort of related to like finances kind of thing, so it could all be grouped together?
Yeah.
They're all expenses.
Yeah?
They're all expenses.
Expenses? No, this takes us in a different direction, but you're right, yeah? So this is kind of the high assets that they are running as a business, yeah? Whilst those are kind of the initial setup projects to actually have a business. Yeah, and those are running on, whilst those are bespoke, right? So you're basically looking for the population, you try to capture as many as you can, and you go back and try to basically provide them with different skill sets. So this will be one-offs more or less. Yeah? All the projects in this case are actually one-offs, and this would be probably as well kind of probably even a program as well, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, but don't worry, we come to program management, but this is kind of the level that you would look at, yeah? And this is, of course, one organization layer. Yeah? So in this case, a non-governmental organization. I have as well the example for a commercial organization. This is based on a manufacturer, yeah, a product manufacturer. Now notice, this is actually, I've just written commercial organization. So you will actually see this has to do with product design. So in a company that has like a product portfolio, you first of all want to have maybe a creation of a new product manufacturing facility. So here we could imagine, if you want, we can go, let's move away from Tesla, let's take another wonderful any industry preferences here? Do you want to? I could talk about PepsiCo again. Yeah, this is always a little bit boring. Yeah, but so in PepsiCo we would do this. Yeah, we figured out that actually Mozambique didn't have any factories now. Yeah, so we actually went in and kind of created creation of a new product manufacturing facility. Yeah, so this is just industrial engineering. Yeah, and the reality is it's something like probably 5 major projects that all contribute to kind of creating this facility. Yeah? So it's not really one project, but this would be of strategic value. This has to happen first if you want to produce something there, yeah? Before you're into logistics. Yeah? You're shipping all the products, of course, in to kind of create the market. So here we have again a kind of subset, which is quite interesting. So let's have a look what that is. So we have number one, technical upgradation or upgradation. This is a typo. So technical upgrading, yeah, or expansion of existing manufacturing facilities, maybe new product development, yeah, as part of the frame, and then as well substantive modification of existing products. Yeah. So again, what could that be? Why is this kind of grouped? Why do you think this could be grouped? What do you think?
It's sort of similar to what you said before, like the sort of innovation kind of things. You put a little bit of money aside and put some capital to that, but keep your bread and butter stuff going at the same time.
Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, so this will be kind of the game that the factory actually plays, right? This is a program of manufacturing, of staying on top of the ball. Yeah, so, should we go with cribs again, or with some fancy drinks? It doesn't really matter. So in Mozambique, yeah, we had the Frito-Lay plant, which is here, I think, heroically summarized as Lays or Walkers, depending on which brand you like. Yeah, and then you see that there are flavor changes. This is just like a little bit. Yeah, this is I shouldn't really admit too much, but it's just a different powder, you know, that we actually kind of developed, and then the new product development would be something like different looking nachos. Yeah? So for example, you can have this as well. It's another product. The production line is similar, but different resources. So one is potato-based, one is corn-based. Yeah, so this would be kind of the playing around. And then you have technical upgrading. So here you could have new filters, regaining the oil, reusing this. Yeah. So this is kind of as well internal effectiveness and efficiency gain, right? So this would sit again as a cluster, as a program of keeping your facility up to gains. And then you had other very important projects as well. Actually, this was a program in our case, but here it's a project, training of managers and employees on total quality management. So this is kind of the scheme that you are running those through. Yeah? So it's kind of a framework, if you want, that you are using to optimize your production. Yeah, and then you have a last one, redesign of some existing process assets. So maybe making them more durable if you have some machines that are breaking down regularly, thinking about redesigning it to optimize it. Yeah, maybe in a more sustainable way. Yeah. Okay, so 2 project portfolios. Now what I want to do, before we go any further, I want you to, how many tables do we have? 1, 2, 3. Actually 3 is just okay. If I could ask you to join a table as well, I want you to come up with your own company. And the easiest way to do this is think of your own favorite project, what you want to do, yeah, and then contribute that and make a company up of that. But you can think as well of other companies. So to give you an example, yesterday we had Volvo, Tesla, and then a mixed, you would probably say it's a conglomerate. Yeah? There was some apartment building, then there was making the city transport underground with ping pong balls, basically it was described to me. No, yeah, basically it was with the underground transport system. So basically the idea is come up with some projects to kind of build your own company. Yeah, and we take that as a first stage. So we spend on that maybe 20 minutes. I think then we should have our first portfolio. So by definition, each table is a portfolio. That's what it is. Yeah, just for now. Yeah. We see if we arrive at a portfolio. This is the other question. Yeah, but for now we try to cluster our projects. Yeah. Okay. So once again, easiest is if every one of you on the table comes up with a project that you would like to do, creating a product or service you would like to be involved with. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And if you want to join maybe this table or this table, you have a little bit bigger portfolio. Yeah.
Is that next coming?
Okay, let's have one quick catch up. So we have actually a selection of different type of projects, and you have company missions too. So I'm very impressed with that. Some of you were still framing the projects. Can we have a quick run through to see actually at what mission you have arrived and what type of projects you have? Just a quick run through. Shall we just go around and do you make a start? So what did you arrive at?
I was just sort of like a herbal tea and healthy sort of cherry drink.
Yeah.
But then
So the mission was what is the mission?
Create healthy living.
Yeah. We need some listening skills, please. Can we please stop? So the mission of this team is to create healthy living, right? So and what projects did you come up with?
If you need the cooperation, we're here. So the same project.
Yeah, there's an overlap between a few, so you will see. There's a lot of good intent. Yeah, this is great. I'm very impressed with that. Yeah. By the way, joke aside, but in MIT lab we were as well part with our iSchool in the future cluster, and one of the predictions is that in 10 years our economy will be very much health oriented, healing oriented, rather than what we are doing now. So this is due to the new entrepreneurs that kind of come out of our universities and what topics are actually being researched. Yeah, so it's all about living very long in the future. Yeah, so that is quite interesting. Not sure that everybody is after that. But yeah. So here the mission was healthy living, and how did you want to do this project?
Oh, we have a healthy cherry drink that would bring health benefits in different ways.
Yeah.
And then the other project was we have cherry infused tea.
Okay, so they had already an interrelated kind of setup. So first of all, there was research on a cherry-based drink, health drink, yeah, and this was already contributing to their other kind of core product, which was the herbal tea, which would have like an underlining cherry taste probably, or something like that. Yeah, and the idea was as well to both set it up and then manufacture it, and then you had a third project to actually make it happen, which was marketing oriented.
So sort of like electrical motorbike, sort of a bit like Red Bull, you know how they sponsor like extreme sports, but a healthy sort of sponsor for like a sustainable kind of sport kind of thing.
Yeah. So they wanted to set up a new race. Actually, I have no idea if it exists or not, but so an electric motorbike race, right? So so kind of like the competition to Formula E. I don't know if you're aware of that. So it's a similar idea. And they wanted to be the main sponsor initially only of the team, but then the question was if the race exists, so they may have to go in for the race. Yeah, which means they're kind of sponsoring the tournament to kind of yeah, get it rolling or making it worldwide famous. Yeah. Okay, so wonderful programs there. Yeah, and some projects hinted. What about the next team? What did you do? Can we have again listening skills to get an understanding? Yeah.
We came up with a fun fashion statement. And
Fun fashion statement as a mission. Yeah, very good.
And it's safe lacing rollerblades.
Safe-lacing rollerblades.
Yeah.
Actually, now I think about it, it would be actually slightly scary, I think. But okay, never mind. But so safe-lacing roller skates. This is a product that you wanted to go for. And what projects did you come up with? Did you have some?
We have like need some project for the mission. The first one is like we need the R&D project to study about the new product.
Yeah. So R&D to maybe establish materials. Yeah. So
we study about like to develop a new product. So
yeah.
About
technology.
Material, about technology, about market as well.
Yeah.
And,
market research. Yeah.
That like the first priority project. Next one should be new equipment. After we come up with what technology we need, so we need to find new equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to kind of set up your manufacturing line respectively. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. But manufacturing line to set it actually up. So this would be a program where you have maybe new equipment spot on. Yeah. So yeah, this is good. Yeah. So as a program. Okay. So we have as well some projects, some programs. Very good. And the mission was fun. Yeah, okay. Very, very good. Yeah. Okay. What about the table here? You had.
Basically, our mission is to design a rocket.
Yeah.
It's a multi-purpose rocket, so
yeah.
you can use it for tourism, sending people into space. But I don't know about picking up that back.
Okay.
But you can also use it for other things, maybe military, maybe for research, launching a satellite into space.
Yeah.
And basically.
So we need again listening skills, please. Okay.
We looked at the different parts of making the rocket. First of all, you need to look at the market, kind of what are the demands of the market demands, and then you need trained staff to basically start designing, looking at already existing products and basically improving your own technology and making rockets that basically work. And you need to. This is a lengthy process, so you need to test every design and test every part, and then maybe launch the rocket, see if it works, does it crash, or all of these things.
So the mission was just a quicker acceleration, yeah, or something like that, or
yeah, just shoot the rocket upwards, and hopefully it will reach space.
So rocket, just to give you, if you listen.
doesn't read space and still okay.
Yeah. I was actually quite interested quite some time ago into rocket research, and it started actually off with just explosives, and then realizing that that would be great as an accelerator. Yeah, but so you have to keep in mind that the rocket design initially came from a cup and an explosive. Yeah, then you have learned a lot about the rocket industry.
Our rockets will be the same, a bit more complex.
Yeah. It's just to defer the explosion in a direction, and then yeah, fine actually. But this is just rocket science. But the point here being, they wanted quicker acceleration as a mission, and they were as well setting up the factory, different products depending to the market. Yeah, so there's as well a host of programs actually implicit. But some of the projects that you referred to was like initially the market research, what is actually the product that people want, then the program of building your factory and so forth. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you. Let's have a look at your team, please. What did you come up with?
We want to recycle. We want to make recycling project from plastic, oil, and maybe electronic devices. And
so a can-based product, which you've seen. Yeah, very smart. Yeah. So the vision is to recycle. Yeah. So being one of the recycler of plastics, oils, and related products.
And
yeah.
our objective is to get the stuff free at the beginning, to just from the particular maybe get their own smartphone or all phones or all computer, taking and extract some precious materials inside. And also with some companies like that, sometimes companies get when they get some old stuff and they want to, we can be paid to remove it. Like they pay us to remove it, we take the stuff, we recycle it, and then we resend the materials, so we create some new products from the old plastics, and so like that we can.
Yeah, very good. So initial projects go along the line, yeah, maybe offering a service of picking it up. Yeah, you probably need to build as well a storage facility or get the licenses, but those would be other projects. And then you want to extract from the waste, so-called waste, that you're picking up from the other companies. You want to extract aggregate or materials that are of value to you and use them then for recycling. Yeah, very good. Yeah, and so we had the projects, we had the mission. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, super. Yeah, thank you very much. What about your team?
Basically, we want to develop a franchise, which is a cafe. The goal is to promote healthy living.
Okay, very similar. Yeah, so mission or goal. Yeah. Healthy living. Yeah.
We learned rocket also.
The coffee place next to the rocket launcher. Yeah, this will be very exciting for everybody.
We sort of developed a portfolio on what products we want to release. For example, we have Global Coffee. We have seminars to promote healthy living. We have hangover shakes, chocolate products, healthy protein shakes. Yeah, that's it.
So what were your projects initially? Did you want to set
up the cafe?
Okay.
And then the products that would be.
So maybe build it or purchase a nice place in a great location.
Then you would have to pay for research and development.
Yeah.
To research what type of vitamins and stuff that you'd need in a protein shake, that you'd need in a hangover shake, stuff like that.
Okay, so initial projects go in a kind of. I was just wondering. That reminds me a little bit of what we did in PepsiCo. We had actually a pharmacy team that would investigate flavor. So it's probably more organic oriented with like self research, right? Or not too commercial oriented and okay. But so there are some projects implicit as well with finding the place, setting up the right joint ventures, yeah, if you kind of want to have this supplied, or doing the research on the right products to go inside. Yeah, so this is as well then again different projects. And so do you do this all in your coffee place or?
We hadn't gotten that far because we were busy deciding on a name
Okay.
for the actual coffee shop.
So what is the actual name?
We didn't.
Okay. Okay, no, not yet there. Okay, this is the.
We need 5 more minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but very good. But we have the essentials. So we have the mission. We have as well projects to kind of set it up initially, and again the question of how to prioritize. Yeah. Okay. What about your team? Well, yeah. The mission. Yeah.
Sorry?
The mission. And what mission
Yeah.
did you arrive at?
The mission is time, space, and robust, low cost. Design.
So time. Wait a minute. I have to repeat this. So time, space, robust,
and low cost.
and low cost.
Yeah.
This is the mission.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll
Okay.
be saving time. We'll be saving space. The design will be robust.
But we need again listening skills. Sorry. Yeah.
The designing will be robust and low cost as well.
Okay. And low cost. Okay.
And we can add like it can be eco-friendly as well. If we use the
Comfortable.
material of the product.
Yeah. So it's as well nice to sit on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically to design a easy convertible sitting system.
Yeah. So there's a design project. Yeah. Initially design easy convertible
Sitting system.
sitting system.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I like it.
So if you take an application like theaters or auditoriums, like a big space,
Yeah.
you can design a convertible sitting systems in which the space can be minimized. Also, while cleaning, it will be easier way for the cleaners as well, and less time will be taken for the cleaning purpose.
Okay, so I like the rationale why you're doing this, but so the project is initially the design, and you said you wanted to manufacture it as well. You said,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have then probably again overlap with a commercial company. So setting up manufacturing or doing it in somebody's flat. Yeah, there's no problem with it either. Yeah, that's just a question of scale. Yeah, then the bigger factory needs to be set up. I actually make a joke about this. If you go back and you look at the old big, for example, oil companies, they were actually started in a New York flat, as a distillery of oil, basically crude oil into refinable products. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be the neighbor. That would have been a very smelly business, but. Nonetheless, yeah. So a lot of the big factories have their origin literally in a garage or a flat to set it up initially. Yeah. And then did you think as well? So you said already commercial application to theaters and kind of big mass providers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means the flat idea is actually not so good for me. So you probably want to build as well a factory. Otherwise, this will be quite intense to build. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So we have as well some projects. Now we come to the next step, and I have to explain a little bit to this. We have to kind of understand what a good portfolio is and what a bad portfolio is. And that is a guess game. Which one do you think is a good one and which one is a bad one? So one is high risk, low expectation, expected return, long duration, lack of strategic alignment, leading to lack of added value to the organization and growth of organization at risk, or is a good one the aligned with strategy, rational to risk and return and duration? So rationalized, yeah. And then organization will gain maximum value of invested resources. Positioning allows the organization to cope with fluctuations in the market. So which one is a good one? The bottom one. Yes, this was the right answer. Now, this is not so much actually a tool that we use and then say like, no, we want the top one. This is potentially where you arrive at when you are analyzing your past projects, if you haven't had a portfolio. If you arrive here, you want to really use a portfolio approach. Yeah? This is potentially threatening to your company and idea, right? So this is kind of why we're doing it. But again, here's already the element. So it's aligned with your strategy, with your mission, and rational to risk and return on duration. So some of your projects were, of course, R&D. Yeah.
But anyway, I guess the first one also can be a good one. For example, convincing stakeholders or shareholders to invest in the business with a very surprising idea, which is absolutely not rational or something, but very, very surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the honest truth behind this is, and you will see that on stock markets, if you come to a threshold of 1 billion, yeah, so you have a lot of money, then nobody would ask for a profit higher than 4%. It's not possible. Yeah, they're basically happy with 3% or 4%. If you bring that much money, and that is actually quite a reasonable thing. Yeah, it's a kind of smaller amounts where you can make bigger returns quite easily. So you're quite right. If you look at joint ventures or as well kind of capital investment funds, they actually don't look at these high margins. They try to optimize their portfolio internally, that they have kind of cash cows that generate a safe 4%, even with the failing stuff that they've invested in. So you're quite right. It's a question of having stakeholders or investors maybe on the motives, what your company is doing. Yeah. So particular the examples that I had with Tesla or as well the rocket development, yeah, this is futuristic. Yeah, we have already rocket competitors, but it's if you develop it, it's eating a lot of resources. You can ask the guys from SpaceX. Yeah.
Because I guess Tesla is a very good example because their first initial portfolio was like the first one, pretty much the first one.
Yeah.
So all the German automotive factories just was like, oh my god, what is this? They just don't want to cooperate or anything from this company.
Yeah.
But later on, they just almost beat it then with those kind of portfolios.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare it market-wise, Tesla has already beaten a lot of the models of the big manufacturers. You're spot on, yeah. But so maybe this is so to repeat this, there's a good and a bad portfolio, but maybe the bad portfolio is actually the production engine for your research and development. Yeah, so in the Tesla example, very well made. Yeah, so we see actually that a bad portfolio is supported by a very big, strong, good portfolio that generates a kind of income and is used to generate like high assets in the future. So they play a long game potentially. Yeah. But again, if you arrive at that and it threatens the growth of your company, then you should evaluate. Yeah. But you're quite right. It's not as clear cut. Okay. So what is it actually? Here I show you already the interrelation. We now build kind of this particular level, the business case. So this is our project portfolio management level. So just to talk you once through it, it's the idea of translating strategy into our project portfolio management. And for that we have to kind of come up with a way of evaluating and selecting our projects that we are actually doing first, that we are prioritizing. That doesn't really mean that the prioritization means that only the first project is done, but we have to think about criteria of how we can actually see how we have to prioritize resources potentially, or sometimes it's as simple what project has to go first, right? So it's as well as simple as that. Yeah, so particularly if it's a program where the projects rely on each other, there may be a critical path on how to do it, right? So this is as simple as it goes. Yeah. So here you have to analyze against the strategies, goals, and objectives, which we have. Yeah, they're very broad so far. So then we have to come up with a prioritization for our funding. Where do we put our money? Yeah, or in the case of the getting money for picking up material, you have to think about how will you actually generate the capacity at the same time. Will it be enough money to actually kind of just pick up, or do you have to sell it afterwards already? Yeah, and it allows you as well then to come to capacity management. Notice it's a continuous process, so normally this is reviewed every quarter of a year in big companies to make sure that your criteria are right. And it comes basically back from the project managers. Yeah? So this is the idea at least. But we have a look at this in a little bit more detail after the exercise. So let's jump to some criteria. Now when we come to the project selection, this is the example that I had for my commercial company. You may have categories, and I've summarized them here. Things like strategic fit. Yeah, so this may be multiple factors that you are assessing, right? So, but this is basically analyzing your mission that you have. So we had healthy living, yeah. I like the both, but what is healthy living? Is this me stopping to eat too much cake around tea time? Yeah, that there's certainly a correlation there. Yeah, I have no issue with it. Or is it maybe the coffee? Yeah. So all I'm saying is, how do we evaluate that? Yeah. So then traditional ones are estimated cost and time, maybe complexity and risk. So if the risk, you recognize that you don't yet actually see what the risk is, yeah, so the dangers are invisible to you, then you may want to think about as well, what does that actually mean? How do you rate that? Yeah. And then we have as well expected benefits. So this may, with Claudio or Dave, you may go quite a little bit in detail into that. You can run simulations up front. Yeah? So Monte Carlo gives you as well scenarios. If you don't have an informed guess, you can run scenarios and have a look where you arrive with that, right? So there's as well a quantitative method to actually look at that. So I know that you do Monte Carlo. I'm not sure if you do any others, yeah, but there are very sophisticated ways of simulating and modeling what could happen. Yeah? And companies do this, of course, depending on the asset value. Then other ones, maybe human and physical resource requirements. Now this is again a terminology I don't like too much, but it's the idea is clear, I guess. And it's as well things like organizational competencies, organizational capacity. Now, if again there are more, and this is not extensive. One of the papers lists you actually quite. This is the one from Gemünden, the German guys. They have done a list, so you can have a look at this. For us, a lot more heroically, I've summarized it in 5. Yeah. So this is impressive. Did you see what I did there? Yeah. So strategic fit, core competencies, and urgency, and what is ROI? Does anybody know? Yeah, return on investment, ROE. Yeah, not spoken ROI, but okay. Can be profit as well, whatever you want. Yeah, income. So you can have multiple factors there. I want you to decide now on your team. Take 1 or 2 projects and talk through what factors you want to actually use to evaluate your project, if they actually fit in the portfolio or not. Yeah, and it's as well a prioritization exercise. So here I've just used a numerical model. Yeah, this is actually. Should I go into? We have actually something called Capita project at our university. This is kind of our model that I've stolen. Yeah, no, not stolen. I've informed, referenced it now. But the point is, we have kind of a weightage going in at the multiplier of 3, which is actually quite high. Yeah, so this means we give it 300%. Yeah, so 3 times. And it works the following: you assess your project. You say strategic fit between 1 to 10. So yeah, by the way, you don't have 0, right? Otherwise it doesn't count. The multiplication doesn't work. But so for example, project A, so for this could be yeah, in our university we have a strategic goal, internationalization. It was a question, should Robert fly out to all our joint ventures and kind of make sure that the operations work well with the companies that they kind of use? And then the strategic fit is very big because, yeah, we want internationalization, so it was okay to send me 3 times a year out. Yeah. And so things like that could be assessed that way. Yeah? So this is project A, internationalization. Then strategic fit A, core competencies. Yeah, Robert has done this in the past, largely for commercial organizations, not so much universities, but he's okay in this too, it turns out. So 7, fair enough. Urgency, that's not that urgent. It's kind of in the middle. So it's it needs doing, but it's not really urgent. So 5. And then return on investment, yeah, this is actually not yet generating the greatest returns, but we know already that in 2 years this is kind of a money returning thing too. So this is yellow, so we should do it straight away. Yeah, it's an example. Yeah? So it depends as well how you want to evaluate it. So you can see, where I think in my Excel spreadsheet I set here the difference at 65. So 61 is yellow. I think this is just a random color coding actually. But you want to think about basically, first of all, at what level do you want to do it, the project? Yeah? At what point do you think this is not a good idea? Or at what point do you think like, okay, we started, but we don't resource it to a maximum, that we run it in optimal time, right? So this is a capacity game. This is a little bit our I'm trying as a strategic consideration. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, so stepping stones now, you want to come up as well with some criteria, and then evaluate, very rough, some of your projects, at least 2, to see where you arrive. Yeah? And think about the factors. How important is to your strategy? Yeah? How important is urgency? This is just given, so keep in mind, this is a multiplier that goes into the hundreds. So if you have 1, this is basically the value you want to give it. If it's 2, it's times 2 basically. Yeah? It's a 200% importance then. Yeah? So if you have 8, this will dominate, of course, a matrix like that. That's a very simple linear model. They are more sophisticated one. These criteria come, of course, as well from the projects you are doing, right? You iterated. What was more important? What worked? Did we achieve our strategic goals, or are we off track? So what went wrong? What did we not measure? Or what maybe did we measure wrongly? This is how you're using and updating this, right? Okay, too much talking from me. I want some criteria for your mission, right? Okay. Any questions? You can use, of course, some of those as well. I suspect there will be some overlap. Yeah, but you may want to have your own depending on your mission. Yeah. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, we have now all done a rough rating of our projects. What is the issue? Where did you arrive? Or what are the questions that you have now?
It's complicated. We have to talk in this stage.
Oh, right. Oh, there's a list of questions. Okay, I like it.
So we have to organize, first of all, the criteria. The criteria we made about our company.
So yeah, we had the one example, this one, yeah, this could be assessment criteria for your project selection, yeah. And we kind of did it in a functional way. We quantified it, right? We gave it a weightage in terms of
the scale of counting the numbers of the criteria. For example, I have to make a guess, I think, about how important is this criteria.
Yeah. Well, I mean, initially it comes from the strategy, right? Has very much to do with what you want to do with your business. If you are, so this is why we have some like return of investment, urgency here. I haven't actually used all of them. If you, sorry, to go back. Yeah, this would be a list that may be actually used by a selection process. And what you would do with the criteria is you would probably make some a necessity for running the project. Yeah. So if you are after strategic benefits from your project, but they are not profitable, yeah, but you need them to actually kind of go ahead. So for example, with your factory, this may be initially not profitable, but your return of investment may actually be generated in 3 to 5 years, or if you are in food and beverage industry, maybe in 3 months regenerated, depending on which company you are. Yeah, then you may have that factored in as well as a timeline, right? So where do you think the weightage comes from? How do we arrive at the weightage?
It's basically how important those factors are.
Yeah.
If it's like a low weight, then it's not very important compared to the other ones.
So again, yeah, the weightage here could be something like 25%. Yeah, so you can see here, this is slightly copied from our Northumbria University strategic assessment for capital project. You can see I don't even have sustainability here, which is just heartbreaking to me. Yeah, but So they even didn't give it even 25%. So you could have smaller numbers, right? Like 0.25. 1 would be 100%. So it's all equal, right? So 3 means the strategic fit is 3 times as important. Well, actually, 1.5 points more important than the core competencies, right? Does that make sense? It's a very simple quantification, but it has a huge impact. Yeah. And then the next question is, when we come to the factors, what else was a big question? Actually, it was here, right? No, we had it on this team. Sorry. What was your question then? Well, we have added up and multiplied. Well, what is the issue? No, sorry. This was the shoemakers. Yeah, the fun shoemakers.
The question was, in the end, what does G6 mean?
Yeah. So first of all, you have so normally you would iterate that over time to see where your projects actually arrive, right? So, but the actual adding up of the projects, you may still have some categories that you definitely want to have as a go-ahead, even if they score negatively on some others. Yeah, because they are of strategic fit maybe, or of strategic value and have to happen before. Yeah. So aside of that, the scoring you have to consider, first of all, when you want to kind of stop a project. Yeah. So actually I'll show you the slide. So there we are. So you want to kind of decide when is a project hope for project success. When do you want to actually maybe not even start the project or terminate to what you have done so far? And this is, keep in mind, so the team has already kind of done the conception of the project, yeah, defined it, and we are at the feasibility point here, right, where we evaluate this. Yeah, this is maybe a no-go, yeah. But to go back, sorry, yeah. So this is as well the question then. Do you not want to do it at 29, or do you take some score category, some criteria that if they impact, that you definitely do them. Yeah. So you could as well have that maybe we don't have the core competencies, but it needs to happen. So maybe we join up, do a joint partnership then, and represent the case. Yeah. So the project selection is literally just a tool if the project is ready to go ahead. That doesn't mean that you will never do this project, right? So in a case we don't have the core competencies, we would often, what do we do? If we don't know how to do it, what do we do?
Learn how to do it. Or get someone else.
Yeah, that's spot on, yeah? So learn how to do it, yeah, do it ourselves. So first learn how to do it and then do it. Or we get somebody else to do it, yeah? Spot on, yeah? So this would be as well an option. Yeah, find a partner, so you could see that actually in the former one. Here we have the strategic partnership building, particularly if you have capacity missing, right? Okay, so this is a little bit the dilemma, and this is really just the starting point of building your own portfolio. And we have again managed to run out of time. This is again me not doing too well in developing this. So what you have done so far is we have worked through the project portfolio management process. So initially it's the context of the organization, which we defined. Yeah, so we had a mission, goals and objectives maybe. Some people already talked about infrastructure building, so this was quite sophisticated. So this is normally what you start with, and then you have an inventorization, which is basically you count what you have, right? So asset list, comprehensive listing of all active and on hold and proposed projects at all levels of the organization. And we had there as well some examples that you may or may not want to run. And then you analyze and assess them. Yeah? Multiple assessment criteria may come out of that. Some may be qualitative. Yeah? So this is so important, this project. This is of strategic value. Then you assess it against the other one, but you may want to still run it even if it's a negative one. Yeah? Or quantitative tools, how have we done in the past? Yeah? So counting is the emphasis here. Yeah? Or running it against a model. You can build this way your own simulation, yeah, with your criteria. It's all a possibility. Software applications are normally quite interesting for that. And then determination of portfolio. Is it a project that we can put in our portfolio? Will it generate the frame of our portfolio? Now, if it does, you will have an investor for it. That is what we're doing. Yeah? If we can't run it, then we may run it anyway, but it's not part of the portfolio. So you may have to resource this internally and find alternative ways to fund it. Yeah? And here again, the question is maintain a balance of projects to create optimal mix based on their cost, return, risk, and schedule. And then, of course, you want to periodically review and modify portfolio by retaining, modifying, and when necessary, killing projects. It's actually worse. On my next slide, I talk about savaging a project. They're going in, assessing the assets. There are companies that do that for you. KPMG or as well Boston Consulting Group, they are very good at this. They kind of have a quick look and then tell you what the asset value is. And then you pay it out and you see how much it costs to kill the project as well. So you may give the client actually money. Yeah? We did this a lot. Yeah? Not that we failed a lot of projects, but if we would normally pay to the government quite a bit. Yeah. So again, this is as well the evaluation of the project portfolio. Here I have a big question for you, just by the feeling of how you have now kind of pre-selected your projects. Are you happy to just run your projects in the portfolio as one unit? Or do you want to engage with a review process where you even monitor the project level? So that means you would have in your project level gates where you kind of report on the criteria against your portfolio. But what do you favor? What is your intuition? So project as one unit. So, you know, like the project has made the selection. So we know it's risky because based on our quantitative analysis of the risk. Yeah? In the past, we know from 10 projects, 1 runs against the wall. Yeah? It's okay. It makes 50% profit, so it's worthwhile doing those. Yeah? There's a very linear kind of rationale behind it. It's profitable. Yeah? So the question is now, do you want to have more information and provide it as well to the decision maker, portfolio management, portfolio manager if you want, during the project? Do you want to report every 3 months on like asset use versus net present value, for example? Is that good or is that bad? The answer is it's both, but so what is your intuition?
I would say the second option, to report and get feedback as the project is going.
Yeah.
So is to get more information to see whether you're in the right track or not, or to change as it sees it.
Yeah. So one intuition is, if you're proactive and you have a transparent approach, why not, right? You update on a regular basis, and this can be even streaming data. Yeah? At the end of the day, you look where you are, and you kind of inform the portfolio manager. And if you work with clients, it's even better, right? If the client really wants to do it, then you know they can see if there's like if you are spending more than what you actually estimated for it, or you know the contractors have given you kind of fees assuming the wrong thing here. Yeah, then you are aware of it. So this is certainly a pro, right? So we should monitor our project as well regularly and report on that. Yeah. Other thoughts? Okay, you are all pro? Yeah, yesterday they were all against. That's yeah, pro and con is of course the notion, yeah. So the observation yesterday was from Volvo. They don't report on it. They just see a project as a unit, because then you can take an insurance against it. Yeah? So if 1 in 10 goes wrong, and you are investing in good project management, maybe the next 10 projects, only half a project goes wrong. It means you do 20 and only 1 goes wrong. Yeah?
It really depends on the project itself. I mean, how, if it's a very huge and groundbreaking thing, it definitely has to be handled as a unique unit basically. But if it's as my project if it's a chair only, you can't handle it as a whole. You need to have a lot more project next to it to have a really good portfolio or whatever you want to do. But for example, for Tesla, it was a very good idea to basically start their portfolio with one car only.
Yeah, but so this is a very good point. Yeah, so maybe there are strategic significance at the level where you kind of treat it as multiple parts where you report regular. But in others, it may make sense to kind of break it up and just treat the project as such. It allows you basically then to look at smaller things, or the size matters. Yeah. If you look at each share individually and you report on how it goes, this gets quite extensive for the probably small factor that comes out of it. Yeah. But you may still do it. This is a important notion to think about. Now, if you do that, it's a structural alignment for your projects to the strategy. This means as well, if strategy changes or the market changes, this will impact as well in those reporting mechanisms on your project. This is a word of warning. So just to think it once through, so we may have external assessments that tell us that the markets are threatened. So you can use here market reports. They're often done by companies and as well research institutions that may inform your strategy and make you prepare for something. To give you some examples, here in the UK, in the northeast, a lot of construction companies are downsizing at the moment. This is not because they have lesser offers. They are basically strategic preparing for market suggestions. They're not responding to anything real yet. Yeah? But this happens. And actually you can see that here regionally a lot of the housing companies kind of don't recruit new members for the company. Yeah? So this can actually inform what you're doing. Yeah? And other areas we have actually seen aggressive expansion. So IT projects, there's a lot of more projects going on here at the moment. So they are upscaling. And this goes then with the strategies. You kind of set your goals, you incentivize as well respectively. Yeah, so you try to get the right projects going, set the objectives, and try to deliver those, of course, through your programs and projects. Then it goes down to the business case. So this is what we arrived at here. Yeah, but we did it in a very simplified way. But you get a feeling for the dynamics, right? So then we have to analyze them. Then goes through approval process, and with the approval process comes as well prioritization of capacities. If you run at the maximum, your projects are not so much running in an optimum duration. They run more or less relating to your capacities that are available. Yeah, you probably have seen that in all projects. This can be as simple in construction as material not yet delivered, and in automotive it can be as simple as that you're still manufacturing an existing line and you haven't had the time yet to change the manufacturing line to assemble your new cars. Yeah? So there are all kinds of refined nuances in this. Yeah? And with the prioritization, you come then to the initiation stage. But notice here, as a project manager, you are basically analyzing, then design, build, validate, implement, and then you kind of give the lessons learned back to the project portfolio level, which basically creates your ongoing metrics, right? What we had there, this is repeatedly informed on that level. Yeah. And again, they will as well internally bring that back if this is still sitting with the assessment, with the strategy. Yeah. So this is the internal assessment. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is how Kerzner broke it down. You will see there are a little bit different processes depending on the papers. The 3 papers that I laid out for you, they will show you way of resourcing depending on how it happens at the moment in different industries. It's good empirical work. So evaluation of active projects. For the project level itself, you want to look at... Oh, we have jumped some slides. Let's go back a little bit. Apologies. So I wanted to give you the distinctions as well. So on the project management side versus project portfolio management, you have the clear distinction between doing the right projects. This is what portfolio kind of provides you with. Yeah. Sorry, project level. If you're the project manager, doing projects right. So this is what you're emphasized on, and you're structurally aligned to it. Yeah, so you're measuring your project as well on the performance of your strategic performance. This means as well that on the portfolio management, you actually focusing on doing the right projects. So this is namely ensuring that only those projects are selected and subsequently included in your project portfolio, which will add value to the organization. Yeah? You saw already the different criteria that we had there. Yeah? Now with this as well, what is project portfolio management? I don't know why I have to. So projects cause change beneficial for the organization. So they're the delivery engines, if you want. Yeah, focus on a project goal, budget, scheduled requirements, and stakeholders. Use a process and tool-based methodology. Yeah, so you are trimmed here and aligned as well to the overall strategy, if you want, and the tools that report that. Compete with other projects for resources. So this is a little bit different to other settings, right? Are defined by the complexity, risk, cost, schedule, expected return, and other factors. So you saw the simplified version from that, and may fail or be prematurely terminated. Yeah. Project's portfolio must add maximum value to organization for the resources provided. Must be considered. So this goes so far so that even if you do a resource, and you can do it in-house, you may decide that at the moment the capacities are so high, you're making more profit, you may as well outsource it. Yeah? Actually, there are a lot of companies that do that regularly. Yeah? So it must be consistent with the organization's missions, goals, and objectives, are based on a robust and consistently applied process for selecting and managing projects. Yeah, so if you're swapping too much in the selection criteria, you basically defeat the purpose. And need to be periodically monitored for performance, revamped as necessary. So be aware that market conditions change, and so you have to change the portfolio itself, yeah, to actually be strategically relevant. This is, of course, as well holistic in aiming. So this is aiming to be holistic in outlook for decision making. So it's as well an informing tool, right? So to bring the business on the right track. Yeah, we had the examples. This was another example of the organization, how it then looks, but this is more about how the different business units or departments or whatever your company wants to call it, may be made up to. And here I kind of suggest that it's a matrix organization, so you may have departments filtering into the different projects, right? And this could be as well what is considered your resource base. But again, I prefer to think of people as people, yeah, and look at this more that where competences or capacities sit. But again, this is a contextual topic, yeah, and criteria which determine it. So this was the question. Project portfolios are dynamic entities, yeah, and you will see that as well in the papers that I have uploaded. So composition changes over time. It's as well a question which projects you can actually sell, right? There's as well a market interaction. So even if you like to do the funky shoes, you need as well a lot of people that are brave enough to skate on the self-clothing shoes, right? I just considered that would be quite scary. Normally it's quite satisfying. Okay, no, I used to play ice hockey. It's an old chestnut, but anyway, there may be a practical application there. Yeah. So new projects are added, and some projects are modified or prematurely determined because they will no longer add value. This means as well that a project that actually competes with the same vision but is better will actually kind of take it away, right? If you have a great innovation, then you may go with that project and you kind of salvage the existing project for it. Portfolios are as well heavily influenced both by the internal organization factors as well as by external considerations. So this is as well competition pressure. So you're basically making yourself quite market focused or respectively responding to it at least. And we had the factors already. That was a process. There are some warnings for that. So depending on how you evaluate your project, and we have different ways already, there is a psychological reasons and escalation of commitment, why a portfolio management should be good, and we see this all over. So that there are project determinants. You overcome the nature, right? A lot of projects are just temporarily, so you can make a profit now, but maybe it's a project that puts you in a very bad light, and in the future nobody wants to do a project with you anymore. So that is as is where permanent losses and associated with it. Salvage value of or closing costs maybe as well implied if you are getting something wrong. So there are a few drivers that actually come with projects. Psychological determinants is you are avoiding optimism and illusion bias. What is that? Did you have that with risk with Dave? Have you talked about how we actually price our governmental projects here initially? What is the one rule about the mega projects? We will actually come to that. Does anybody know? Well, how do you hear about mega projects in the world? Where do you read about them? Or
News.
Yeah, and in what way? What do they normally report about the mega projects?
Failures.
Yes. So what are they particular famous for?
Failures.
Yeah, failing. But on which category? So we had a few. If we take it as simple as finance, timing, and maybe quality. Yeah, delays often or overspent, right? And it shows the inherent dilemma that if you're a project manager and you do the feasibility study or you define the project, you are phoning up the right people, you're getting your costing right. But with mega projects, what's often not factored in is the sheer scale of it. Yeah, and so in mega projects, there's actually a formula that is promoted by a colleague from Oxford that insists that every mega project should have a factor of 1.5, a factor of 150% being added to the costing because of scale. Yeah? So they have actually a refined view there. And this is not because a project manager or estimators are not particularly good. This is more a question that the pure scale for pitching a project, you're incentivized to lie. Yeah, so you are more likely to take a project on that is actually easily priced. So, by the way, he doesn't call it lying; he calls it strategic misrepresentation. But quite frankly, it's you are intentionally bending what can come out of the project. This is the the illusion bias, and then as well the optimum bias is that you will, despite all the past projects not being delivered at that price, you think you can deliver this. Yeah. So you are doing it against the odds. Yeah, this is what's meant by that. So just be aware. In project management, we have those. This, I hope you will look a little bit into this. This is quite fascinating. There's as well social determinants. Yeah, so to do with leadership. So in leadership, if you start off having your boss saying like, just give me the data and I report it up. Yeah, if it's not transparent anymore, you have left basically the idea of honest reporting. Yeah, so it's very likely to bend the numbers in. Yeah, so this is as well a danger for us as project management. And then we have as well organization determinants, so policies and procedures and govern decision making, so that there's no appliedness anymore to your project relevance. This is another reason why you want to do this. Yeah, and contextual determinants, so government interventions, etc. They can be as well monitored with this, yeah, long before you fall into the trap with your project, yeah, because you haven't adjusted the right factors, yeah. Okay, a lot to take in. One thing to remember from this, I should have broken the sentence down. That is one to remember for me. Okay, anyway. So, first of all, the short sentence. So, project portfolio management is an iterative process. Yeah, this is important to realize. So you cannot set up a portfolio selection mechanism and manage it just forever like this. So you have to keep an eye basically on the externalities, basically the factors that we discussed, right? And this comes from you as a project manager. So make sure you actually report back in how those worked for you. Yeah, they may not work for you very well on your project, but they may make strategic sense. But still, it's important to feed back on that. Yeah. Now then, the performance of the project selected for inclusion in the portfolio must be as well periodically monitored after they have been initiated in order to determine whether in changing an internal or external environment they are still aligned with the organization's mission. So this means you are doing here strategic alignment of the project to kind of the organization goal, right? So if you have multiple organizations involved, there may be different driving forces, right? If this is no longer the case, you want to reassess, either modify according to the prematurely determinant, so that resources can be redirected towards the other high-value adding projects, or even cut it off, right? Does that make sense? So you're deciding here as well about resourcing. You may still want to go ahead with it, but you're giving it less resources. That may impact, if you're a company working with other organizations, that may not be favorable to the other companies. Yeah, but it may make a lot of business sense to you. Yeah. Or it may explain why you're a company project manager that kind of does a particular machine on your factory. Suddenly it's like, oh, it's so difficult, we are running behind. And then if you count how many people are actually kind of working on it, it's just one person, not the described three. Yeah. So this is normally an indicator that it didn't make strategic sense for them to actually put the resources on it, for costing reasons. Okay, thank you for your patience, and we haven't managed the simulation, so this will be up on the ELP. I put it up straight afterwards. You will see you can play a little bit with games around, with projects around, and see how this impacts. Yeah, so depending on the performance and the reporting and how your portfolio changed. It's as well a tool where you can hammer in your shares and use this for stock market analysis, yeah, for building your own portfolio, for investment, yeah, for retirement or something like that. But yeah, have a look. So I put it up afterwards. And any questions? No questions? Is that the question? I like it. Yeah, no, are there any questions? Okay. Yeah, if not, then you can come as well to me and ask me. So this is it for today. Thank you very much, and thank you for the patience. And I see you next week. Cheers.